Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Mondays at Noon. I'm Dr. Molly Pepper. I'm the Associate Dean here in the School of Business, and this is our weekly forum where we gather as a community to talk about topics that are important to us as a business school. We're recording this session, and it will be available on the School of Business YouTube channel. Our guest today is Dr. Mary Ritter Heitkemper. And Mary is the Director of Academic Engagement in the Career and Professional Development area here at Gonzaga. More important, she is the Business Schools Internship Coordinator. And I'll tell you more about that when we get to the interview portion of our program. But before we talk with Mary, we're going to take a pause to reflect and then to engage in two short networking exercises. So first, for our reflection, because this is a forum where we gather as a community, I would like for us to take a moment and reflect on that community. So many of us are impacted by the fires burning around the western part of the country. So for today's reflection, please join me in just a moment of reflection for those in our community who are impacted and with gratitude for those who are working to help. Thank you. Next, we're going to hold our breakout groups to allow for some networking. And after that, I will introduce Mary again, and we'll start the interview. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a good conversation, and now you know a few more people on this Zoom. So next, I am going to introduce our speaker again, Dr. Heitkemper, and just a little bit of background, and then I believe Dr. Heitkemper is going to share a presentation. But Mary has a bachelor's degree in English from WSU, and a master's in administration and curriculum from Gonzaga, and a doctorate in educational leadership from Gonzaga. But most important, she leads our business students in all matters of careers, especially internships. But she visits our classrooms to talk with students. And during a regular semester, she would be holding office hours here in Jepson, making it very easy for students to just stop by and ask their questions, get advice, learn about career preparedness. And since this is not a regular semester, she's available to students via the career and professional development software called Zags Connect, which I believe is named for the idea that our students will do, as St. Ignatius said, and go forth and set the world on fire. So Mary, thank you for being here today. And I would invite you to share your screen, kick off your presentation, and then we'll ask you some questions.
Okay, great. Do you see my screen?
Yes, I do.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for allowing me to be here and for the fantastic partnership with the School of Business Administration. After being at Gonzaga for 30 years, these last, I think, 3 or 4 years that I've had the real strong connection with the School of Business has meant everything to me, because I feel like I've had the benefit of getting to know more about the academic structure of the School of Business, getting to know the faculty and staff and advisors, and every facet of the School of Business has become much more real to me. So I really appreciate this relationship, and thanks for having me today. So our mission in career and professional development, where I've worked mostly for these 30 years, helping students clarify and attain their educational and career goals. It's what I do every day, and it's what a team of us working in career and professional development do for students and alumni. And I was trying to think of what I could share today that might be valuable across all facets of, for alumni and faculty and students. And so I thought, when we talk to students, we want them to represent our university well, and we want them to represent themselves well. And share the gifts that God has given them with others. And so I created just an outline of what I think is most important about career development. And so first of all, first and foremost, relationships are the most important. I think the Jesuits believe that, and I think Gonzaga was founded on that. And relationships from the first person a student meets when they go into an interview, who answers the phone, who greets them as they come in, that person is as important as the person that's going to interview them. And also the person that holds the door for them, that person is extremely valuable. So I think if students and alumni, as they're networking and keeping the job search going, the relationships they build are most important. Also, in the career process, students need to evaluate, explore, and engage in career development. And we have the 5 E's of career development that we always talk about. And it's their values that they evaluate, the interests, and their skills. What are they, and how can they best use those skills to serve in their next position? And so we have a bunch of elements of how we can work with students in each of those areas. The power verbs that we have available and how students frame their experience in terms of what they've accomplished and the accomplishment statements they write are very, very important. I know that putting together a resume is not a one-time deal. Students can continue to build on their resume by looking at their power verbs and their accomplishment statements. Respecting diversity and inclusion, I think more and more we're learning how important that is and how to redirect ourselves towards diversity and inclusion, rather than if we notice things are different from us as a student that's new at the university or someone that is in their graduate program. Those are things we should run towards rather than run away from. And I think career development is a lot about getting out of your comfort zone. And I appreciate the value of diversity and inclusion. And so I just want to encourage all students, when you feel uncomfortable about something, rather than avoiding it, pay attention to that and get to know the person in the room that's most different from you, as opposed to going towards the person that's the same as you. I think it's really, really important, and I learn this more and more every day, to express goals in writing. A mentor of mine, Dr. Dick Wolf, from many, many years ago, always told me to put my goals in writing. And I did most of the time, but he also told me to put timelines on them so I could look back on it and see what I had accomplished and see what I had not accomplished. And sometimes I resisted that, and other times I put those timelines down along with my goals in writing. And now I can look back and I can say, you know, the times that I had timelines on them and the times I had them in writing, I was much more likely to achieve that. So when I talk with students and they say to me, how can I get ahead, or how can I do better than I'm doing currently? And I say, you got to have some goals. And I need you to set some goals that push yourself, but that you're comfortable with, that you can look at and you know, achieve those goals. So I always want students to start early obtaining and developing mentoring relationships. Mentor can mean so many different things, but one of my favorite projects within the School of Business is working with the first year students and encouraging them to have an informational interview with a mentor through Zags Connect. And that can help them so many ways. And I always encourage them not just to start that relationship, but ask if they can keep that door open so they can continue to build that relationship. Experience gained is essential to growth. I think experience can be defined in so many ways. Obviously, I love internships for the experience that gives students, but I also have so much appreciation for service learning that students do. I have appreciation for club involvement that students have. and for alumni to be involved in professional development activities and to ask their professors, how did you get started and what professional development groups did you belong to? What service groups did you belong to? Networking and informational interviewing is so key to career development. And that's when I was talking with a student the other day, and we talked about how many informational interviews should he have before he stops doing them. And we talked about setting goals about the number of informational interviews you have, because each time you talk to somebody, they become a connection for you as well. And then showing gratitude. I really appreciate how Dr. Pepper started the program with us, taking some time and reflecting and also showing gratitude, because thank you cards and thank you notices to people and showing gratitude for what others do for us is the foundation of everything we represent at Gonzaga. And it also is such a wonderful career development tool for students to have. I know a lot of times we talk to the alums after they, meet our students at treks or career fairs, and those students that follow up with a thank you card, it's few and far between. But if we could get each one of our students to write more thank you cards, I think our connections will continue to grow, and we need to remember that ourselves to thank all those who we're grateful for. So that's represent, and that's my 30 years of career development work in a real short slide. But those are some of the key elements that I definitely wanted to share with you today. Also, I wanted to make sure you all know about Career Shift. It's one of the tools that we have purchased at Gonzaga for our students, and it goes out and everyone should have access to it either through Zags Ignite or through our online resources in career and professional development. And it can show you what's out there. It goes in and pulls job opportunities into the system for you. And it's an amazing resource. And I always know if I talk to students and say, how's Career Shift working for you? And they say, oh, it's not going so well. I don't think they're really using it, because it really is a fantastic resource. You can also use it to find alumni that aren't on LinkedIn. And so it's a great way for us to connect with our graduates and find them out there. Zags Connect is where we have all our mentors online for students. It's become so much easier for students to connect with alumni and for faculty to connect with their past students and keep track of who's out there in their professional field. It's super easy to get connected now through Zags Connect. And if any of you are out there and are not yet connected, we'd love to have you become a connection for students. You can say how you want to help them. You could even help them with their finding a new location if they're moving. You can help them with their career identity. You can help them with their documents, or even with job connections or shadow opportunities. This is our fall calendar. We've already had 2 big events, virtual events, and they're going as well as can be expected given it's not as much fun as in person, but we're going to have a post-grad service fair October 14th. We're doing our speed mock interviews, which is like speed dating, and the connections made there are really fantastic in terms of mentoring relationships or job opportunities as well. Then we have an all-major career and internship fair. The New York Trek this year, we have an orientation for it because it'll be a 1-day event. And obviously we're not getting to go to New York, but we will still have some of the same elements, including a special conversation with Kenny, who's worked on the floor for a long time of the stock market and can tell some amazing stories. So want to encourage you to get involved with the New York Trek this year. We'll also have spring activities, which would include our trek in Seattle and Portland and the Bay Area, and continue to post the recruiting opportunities on Zags Ignite. We have social media that I want to encourage you to follow and see what's going on. We have a special feature called Fired Up Fridays, which is kind of fun, where we feature alumni and facts that you might be interested in as well. And then personally, I take appointments each day of the week, and you can sign up for an appointment through Zags Ignite or email me for an appointment. And we do all the services that we were able to do before. It's just we're working with you on Zoom, and my other colleagues in career and professional development are available to meet with you as well. We all have our specialties, and I think student appointments and alumni appointments are some of the favorite parts of our whole day. So now my official presentation is concluded, and I will stop my share and come back for questions that Dr. Pepper might have for me.
Okay, well, thank you. That was excellent, and you know, lots of good reminders in there, and lots of good tips and ideas for us to use going forward. So I've asked people to put questions in the chat, and I have a few questions of my own, but if you have a question, please go ahead and type it in. So we'll start with a question from Dr. Pachiri, who asked if you're doing anything with Regents this September. She said it was a fun and successful event in the spring. So tell us more about that and if it's going to happen again.
Yes, definitely. This fall, we do not have a specific event planned that's just with the Regents. However, we will invite them to our speed networking. And that was part of the wonderful event that I think you were a part of, that was so well attended, and students got so much from meeting the Regents. But we don't have a specific one for this fall. I'm anticipating something in the spring, though, that would be specifically with the Regents. I will say that we have more of our Regents on Zags Connect than we've had before. And I would love to encourage you, Marietta, to encourage your colleagues on the Regents to join that as well, to help the students.
Yeah, and that's the reason I was asking, because I've heard from both students as well as the Regents that both sides actually really enjoyed the interviews, the mock interviews with students. So
I think sometimes when the Regents, the students get to meet the Regents, they can't believe that they're having this one-on-one conversation with someone that's accomplished so many great things. And then I think the Regents feel the same way too, looking at the student, think, how did that student get so smart, and how do they know so much? And so those relationships are really, really key.
thank you, Mary.
Mary, a question from students. What's the biggest mistake you see students make during their time at Gonzaga from career point of view, like as far as what should they be doing that they're not doing maybe?
Very first thing is the only mistake that they could make is just not starting. Because I figure if they come in and have a connection, a one-on-one connection with one of our colleagues in the career and professional development area, they'll figure out that career development isn't as scary as they thought it might be. And all they have to do is come in and say, I'm not quite sure what to ask, but maybe give me some ideas of where we should start. So I think number one, the biggest mistake I see is someone not connecting. The second mistake I would see, I'll give you three. Okay. So the second one would be not following up with someone. I think if they have someone who they met that made an impact on them, even if it was just a small conversation, if they follow up with that person, even if it's 2 weeks later, I think we always say, follow up with them as quick as possible, but I say just follow up with them. So that'd be the second thing. And then the third, I think, is just, I think students don't have enough confidence in themselves. And as we're all human, and we all need to build our confidence, but I think career confidence is something that comes through just going for it and meeting people that are different from yourself and taking those chances, much like we take every day. And nobody always knows how fearful it makes us feel sometimes, but as a career confidence they need to build.
Okay, and just to follow up on, you said, the mistake of not getting started. So when should they get started?
Well, I love it when first years get started, because I think sometimes if they could do one or two things their first year, and even in their club involvement, if they choose an academic or a business focused club they could be involved in. The Women in Business Club is such a popular group right now, and there's so much enthusiasm there. So I think that counts as career development for them. And then I think just anything they do that makes them get out of their comfort zone, going to the faculty members Zoom meeting and just talking with them and getting to know those professors they have in a personal way, I think can really get them going in their professional development. DECA is such a important group for students to get involved in, and they can continue, from what they learned in high school, or if they even weren't involved in high school, they could get involved.
Okay, that's some good advice. And in there, I think I heard you say they should, attend Mondays at noon, right?
Oh, definitely. Well, I mean, just think of all the people that you've had this year. I keep referring students back to the YouTube channel to see some of the networking contacts that you've had. That Gonzaga has such a great following and so many amazing alums. So definitely the Mondays at noon is very important.
Okay, excellent. Well, when you mentioned the Zoom sessions, I thought that might be part of that. Okay, so a question from one of our graduate students. Thank you for being here today. And do you have any tips or advice for students who will be participating in the virtual job fairs?
I think the key, and other folks that have participated in some of the virtual job fairs could probably chime in here a little bit too, is know who's going to be there, and then have your research of that firm or that organization done beforehand, because you have a very short time to differentiate yourself, especially in a virtual career fair. And sometimes you're standing in the queue waiting to get to make your appearance with that firm. And the more you have your knowledge of the organization, the company or the firm or the nonprofit that you're going to meet with, the more you have that, the more you can tailor your personal elevator speech to that person. And is what's going to make you stand out and also give you the extra confidence that you need to approach it. I think I'd practice the virtual part of getting into the fair. There's a video that describes it for students, but I think it feels a little awkward at first. And so I think I would encourage that technological practice just to make sure they have all the tips of how to get in there as well.
Okay. Great. That's great advice. I hope to stop by one of the fairs. I'm just trying to sort of picture what a virtual job fair looks like. So that's great to know.
It can actually be better for some people, I think, because you can have it. I mean, I don't think anything beats the in-person relationship, but if you're a real organized person, which I know a lot of our students have that ability, you could really time it out and figure out how you can get in each room and cover a lot of ground in a short time. So it'll be interesting if when we get back to the old way of in-person, if this virtual way will continue even more so for some people, because I think it might work better for some.
Interesting. Yeah, I could see where we could combine the two and take the advantages of both.
I think you'll love it, Molly, because you can see all your alums that are representing the company, and you only have a short time sometimes in between your classes and your other duties, and I think you could pop in and see them all quickly.
That would be great. It's a great way to think about that. Okay, well, you sort of shifted to our next question, which is how can faculty and staff help What can we do to support career and professional development? You know, your office, as well as just helping the students. What recommendations would you have for us?
Gosh, I see so many of my friends and colleagues out there that are already so helpful. And I think number one is I see a lot of you career kindlers who've gone through our career kindler program, but I see a few of you that have not yet. And so I want to encourage you to do that, because then you'll know all the facets of our office. We're inviting faculty and staff to become partners with us, because career development is much broader than just one area or one office. And I think the second thing that maybe I've talked with faculty and students and staff about less is the career competencies. There's so many of them that fit so well into your syllabus. And I think if you are able to help students connect what they're learning in the classroom, I think many of you do that so well through your class projects and through the experiences you give students, and just help them verbalize what they've learned from your class so they can say that to employers. I think that is added encouragement I would give.
Great. Excellent. I'm glad you brought up the Career Kindler program, because that's such a helpful way to structure structure and translate, I guess, what you're doing in CPD and what faculty and staff are trying to do. And I see a question from Marietta here. Can we invite you now virtually? Marietta, I'm not sure what you mean. Can you follow up with that?
Because generally we would invite from CPD to introduce different ways that our students can engage with alumni. We've done it in person. Now it's probably, take 5-10 minutes of any class time and introduce, everything that's happening. So
that would be great. We have a classroom presentation link that we want to encourage you to fill out, or just a simple email to let us know when you'd like us to come. I think all of us enjoy that time, because the more students we can talk with, and the more alums and more graduate students, the better our services are used. I think too, we could find out what you are most interested in as topic and help piggyback on something that you've had in your syllabus that we could cover from a career standpoint.
Okay, I'm just checking to make sure I didn't miss any questions. And I guess, Mary, my last question always is, what did we not ask that you want to tell us about? What's the question we should have asked today?
Well, I think that's I always tell students that's the question in the interview, that if someone asks you, have a really, really good closing. So I hope I can do that. But what I wanted to leave you all with is, I do believe thank you notes are huge in terms of helping our students with their career development. And I want to ask all of you faculty out there and staff of ways that you think we could encourage our students, even have a thank you brigade or something, to some creative way of getting students to write more thank yous. I know their parents have taught them that, and I know they think it's important, but I think it seems sometimes a little old-fashioned to them. I like the snail mail thank yous, but I also appreciate the email thank yous that we can encourage students to do. So that was one thing. The second thing is, I think informational interviews, just the wording of that sounds so dull. I know Nike calls them informationals, but if anybody had a better name for informational interviews that was a little snappy, I think it might encourage our students to do those more. And then I think the last thing is just to let you all know that I truly believe we're partners in this journey that we're on, and helping our students and alumni, maintain their career path and be as able to use their gifts and talents to serve others. And I think just the fact that we're a Jesuit university that has such a belief in that, I think we are really, really doing a good job with our students, and we just need more students and graduate students and alumni, partnering with us. So thank you.
Well, Mary, I actually have a follow-up based on something you said there, which you were talking about the thank you notes, and I agree with you. Those are so important, and it's nice if students can send handwritten thank you notes. I know that you provide those in CPD, that students can stop by and pick them up, so that and you even give them, do you give them a stamp?
We did. We just mail things for them because we wanted to make sure it got out there to the alumni. So we put them through our campus mail. I used to bring stamps around because students don't always know where to buy stamps anymore. So.
Okay. So this semester, given all the new, protocols, can they still stop by? Is CPD open?
Yes, we are open. Not today because of the smoke, but every day we have a career counselor available. So someone could talk to a career counselor, and then we have front office colleagues available as well. So we are fully staffed in person and on Zoom as well. So I'll be in the office not next week, but the week after. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much for being here and for all the good information. And to everyone who's in attendance, appreciate you being here and hope to see you next week.